Hi, and welcome to a tour video because I've ended up finishing my island without recording any of the builds. So now I'm touring my island. So let's actually start here in residential services because when you come into the dream address, this is where you will start out. Before we do anything, we can start with the town flag, I guess. So the town flag did get a little bit of an upgrade. It looks quite a bit cleaner and I guess better than the last one. The last one was quite simple. This one has a little bit of shading, which does give it a little bit more dimension. So I do prefer this one over the other one. And yeah, so there's the town flag. And I will also go ahead and open the map here before I forget. So here is the map. You can see that I did work on my island a lot over like the past year, maybe almost 2 years, I would say. Unfortunately, most of it I did not actually record. So that's why I'm going on this tour to show a lot of the builds that I actually did. So here are all of the characters that I do have on the map. So I have 5 player characters and then all of the villagers here. So to start, we have Helen, who is supposed to be the administrator. We have Red, who represents the red player base. He is dressed up as Heavy in this dream address. Here is Merasmus. Here is Saxton Hale, and Blue, who represents the blue player base, or the blue team, in my island. And then for the villagers, we have Petrie, Jacques, Apollo, Teddy, Rasher, Ace, Graham, Eugene, Doc, and Phoebe. And I did already make a video about who represents who, so I won't go into that here. But in saying that, all interiors have been decorated, so all player character interiors are decorated, and all villager interiors are decorated. Each of the villagers' interiors have been decorated to match their respective Meet the Team videos, so I will actually show that in this tour. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the map. And then, okay, I don't know why, but it kind of looks like my character's off-center. Anyway, this is where you start in residential services. I do have a bunch of custom designs that I did upload to the portal, so you are welcome to check that out. It has a bunch of the TF2 related ones, as well as the actual uniforms. But before we go anywhere else, let's also check the bulletin board because I did leave a couple of Easter eggs there. So this is just to say welcome. This is my island, just a brief introduction. Here is Saxton, who is telling you that our outfits are provided in the beach, as well as some custom designs that you may need to use. And then this is just the present color guide. So there are little bits of presents that are dropped around my island. So this is just basically showing you what each color represents. And then this is just a little fun Easter egg I decided to add. This was a lot of fun to play around with. And yeah, I think this was just a really fun idea that I really wanted to try out. And I'm happy that it actually works. So that's a bulletin board. Now we can go down here. So here's residential services. I didn't really know what to do with it, if I'm being quite honest. So I ended up just putting, I guess like an overview build is, I don't know if that's what you'd call this, but just the basic reference of what TF2 is about, I guess. So we have the red and blue team and then the Australian they're fighting over. And then if we come down to Able Sisters, because this is where all of the directions are pointing towards. Yeah, cliche, this is where you get all of your uniforms is from the Able Sisters. And again, here is the guide. Red presence is for red team, blue presence is for blue team, gray presence is for both teams. And yeah, I know these are a lot of presents, but I really wanted to have the full outfits for each of the classes for anyone who wanted to visit. So yeah, these ones, I've put the custom designs here so that you're aware of which class wears which outfit, and also so that you know who requires that custom design and who is the in-game item. But I believe only the spy and the medic is the in-game items. Everyone else is custom design, so you'll have to just browse and pick your class. Now for medic, I'm not sure if I'm going to make a custom design for him. because I think the doctor's coat works pretty well, but again, like it's just not accurate to the actual medic in the game. So I don't know if I will end up making an actual medic custom or not, but if I do, I'll definitely upload that. And you know, honestly, I wouldn't even be considering that if this tailcoat came in the red variant, because this actually looks quite similar to the actual coat that medic wears in TF2 because of the tailcoat that it has. And I'm so sad it doesn't have a red variant. But I think it works really well for blue team anyway. So, you know, I'm quite happy with that item. And red will just have to go with this doctor's coat, unfortunately. But, you know, he's the medic, so it makes sense that he wears the doctor's coat. Anyway, so that's that. That's the beach. So again, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, all beaches are decorated if they are visible and accessible. So the ones that you can't go to or see, I haven't even bothered to decorate them. But all the other ones, I have. So that's that beach there. And then here is Able Sisters, just a little fun like cosmetic shop is kind of what it's supposed to be. Cliche, I know, using Able Sisters to sell clothes, but I thought it was quite appropriate. So there's like the Mann Co hat, which you can also get from my custom portal. And of course, here is the notorious Flamed Team Captain hat, which at one point was TF2's most expensive item, so I really wanted to reference that here. And, you know, I kind of wish it came in the red variant, but, you know, if you're on the blue team, it is blue anyway, so I guess that suffices. But yeah, that is what this one is referencing. And then I guess we can just go through here. Technically, you're supposed to start from the other end, but, you know, I think it's just natural to come here anyway. So this is Meet the Pyro. This build is referencing. So I do have some gifts here. So if you want to, you know, be the Pyro, you can also light up this little fountain firework that I've left. But yeah, this build was a lot of fun. Here is the mailbox that references the postal pummeler, which is an item in TF2 that Pyro can use. And then this, of course, is referencing the scene where Pyro locks the medic in the shack with an axe before he burns it down, which is quite gruesome, but I had to make a reference to it. And let's see if Phoebe is not home. Of course she's not. So, because she's not home, I will have to show a separate recording of what her house is. So, obviously, for the interior for Phoebe, I had to make it Pyroland. A lot of the Easter items, the Bunny Day items, I did end up using, which somehow they fit really well with the Pyroland theme. So I'm actually quite glad I could use those items. But yeah, this is what I came up with. I do enjoy how it turned out. I do think that the contrast between it and the outside makes it a lot of fun, and it quite represents the Meet the Pyro short quite well, which I'm really happy with how it turned out. So that's the Meet the Pyro build here. So if we move on, we get into Meet the Soldier. So this was also, again, a lot of fun to make. I had to give Soldier all 9 heads here. You know, he's quite particular with his heads. And, you know, you can, you know, replicate the Meet the Soldier short here. In terms of the background, I didn't really know what to do, so I just added a bunch of clutter. I had to add this raccoon in here, which I wasn't able to find the creator for this raccoon, so I unfortunately can't credit them because I can't find them anymore. I have no idea who created this, and I don't know what the code is for it, so if I do end up finding it, I will list it in the description, but otherwise, like, I don't know who made it. Anyway, here are some presents, here are some drops. And of course, this is referencing one of Soldier's favorite hobbies, which is teleporting bread. And lucky for us, Apollo is home, so let's go check out his interior. And it looks like he's cleaning. So in terms of Apollo's interior, because the Meet the Soldier short takes place outside, I ended up just referencing the cave that Soldier lives in. So unfortunately for Apollo, it's not too grand, but in saying that, he is surrounded by gold, so I mean, hopefully that makes up for it. But here is his altar with his favorite bucket in it. And sorry, Apollo, I forget that they always talk to you when you hit the item. But anyway, I also really needed to add this golden toilet because Soldier is also quite precious about toilets. And this rocket lamp here, I thought it kind of looked like a crocket, so I thought it would be fun to add that in. And of course he has his helmet, and I also wanted to make a subtle nod to one of the cosmetic items that Soldier does have in TF2. So there's the Viking hat to kind of reference that. I believe some YouTubers also use that item for soldier. But anyway, that's that for soldier, which, you know, it's quite simple. It's nothing too crazy. It's just a bunch of gold. So yeah, that's it. Now, if we go here, we actually make it to the storage container, which references the Meet the Scout short, where he starts beating up the Heavy. So you can pick up this present here and you can sit down and have Heavy sandwich, which is a lot of fun. Again, the beach is only decorated because you can see it. Unfortunately, Ace is not home, so I will again have to do a recorded video of his interior showing right here. So in terms of Ace's house, honestly, it's not my favorite. The main point of it is that back wall that has the Meet the Scout poster there. Other than that, the rest of the room is just basically I tried to fill it with items that kind of reflected his personality, as well as some of the items that you would see in game, so cosmetic items or taunts, or, you know, baseball items, because he's kind of known for, you know, using a baseball bat and also liking baseball, so I had to add a couple of those items there. But yeah, like nothing too crazy. Again, like main point of his house is that back wall that has the Meet the Scout poster, which is the main focus of it. That's pretty much it for the Scout's house. Now if we come back here, so this one is nothing like, it's just a peninsula. To be honest, this road here was supposed to continue on to the peninsula, but I ended up actually creating this little tribute spot right here. I won't linger here too much. It's just a little homage to Rick May, who is the voice of Soldier, that I did kind of want to make a little dedicated spot for him here. And I do enjoy how this turned out. I think it's quite peaceful here. But yeah, I do really like how that part turned out. So moving on, what we can do, I mean, I guess we can just come out here. So this build, unfortunately, I didn't end up recording this build. This is, of course, hopefully you can recognize, it is referencing the first scene in Expiration Date, where they go into that fake entrance. So there are the standees that they would have to go through, as well as the curtains. These termite mounds was such a pain to get. I was, first of all, grinding the bug off to get the termite mounts, and then I gave up because Flick would not give me these items. This one time he gave me like 3 wallpapers in a row, and I was like done. I got so mad, and I was like, I'm done. And I ended up just going to a treasure island instead to get the rest of the termite mounts. But I do think it was worth it. I really enjoy how this turns out. The only bad thing about it is that it kind of makes the island lag quite a bit. But other than that, I really like how it turned out. And there's also even like a little sentry right there, because you can see that in the short. Now, before we actually move on to the expiration date portion of the island, I actually want to come loop back here to show the administrator's portion. So this build is just referencing the basic lore of TF2, I guess you could say. So there are the Mann brothers here and the fight over the gravel pit. Pretty simple, but yeah, it's basically the basic lore of TF2 is basically because of these two and the administrator who orchestrates the entire thing. And then here we have the reference to Zephaniah Man, his little gravestone that, you know, she digs him up, and there's his little ghost as well back there that you can see. But yeah, it's like a fun little reference, because the 7th comic ended up coming out in the middle of me building this, so I had to make some sort of reference to that. And here is also Zephaniah Man's hat, which actually I was going to make reference to Gibbous, but it actually kind of looks more like the, I believe it's called the Head Full of Steam hat or whatever. Both are achievement hats, so it's up to your interpretation what it represents. But in my mind, I was thinking that it could be the Gibbous. Anyway, let's go inside. Okay, so for the administrator's house, all of the interiors reference the actual comics, because there's not really a lot. I don't think there's a single like animated administrator official short or anything like that. There isn't. So she's only referenced in the comics mainly, so that's what I based her interiors off of. So this particular room is just referencing that one scene where Team Fortress 2 is fighting Team Classic and Greyman. So there are all the robots. Here is Medic trying to revive Soldier and Miss Pauline, and here is Demoman fighting the robots. and giving them alcohol poisoning, which I think is quite funny. Now, if we go here to the back room is, of course, the administrator's security camera room. There is her mic where she, tells each team to, defend or attack or capture the point, yada yada. So, quite simple, but it does kind of reflect how her room does look in the comics. So I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. Now, this left room is, hopefully it's quite obvious, it's supposed to be hell, where Medic gets sent, and he's sitting here at Satan's office to, the devil's office to kind of try to weasel his way back to life, I guess you could say. This is where we find out that Medic stitched 8 other souls into his, so Satan no longer has, or the devil no longer has, full claim over his soul, which is such a funny thing. But yeah, here is the pen that Medic trades one of his souls for, and then he comes back to life. And of course, because there's hell, I had to create heaven. So this is Scout's heaven. There is God greeting him right there, and the 3 foosball tables that blows Scout's mind. And then there is poor Tom Jones, who gets his neck snapped again for a second time while he's in heaven. Yeah, but yeah, I tried to make it as accurate to the comics as possible, so hopefully it comes across as heaven when you come up here. But yeah, just fun little details here. So I did come upstairs first just because, it's heaven here, and I did just show hell. So let's go to the right room now. And the right room is the final scene with the administrator, because that's the scene that she dies. So here is her pile of ash, which is kind of gruesome considering that the character I'm playing is the administrator. But yeah, this is the part where we find out that the administrator has been keeping Zephaniah Man alive by forcefully pumping Australium into his veins, and he's just trapped here with a bunch of TVs around him for some reason. And yeah, this is where the administrator has her last speech with Zephaniah Man, and then they turn to ash because Miss Pauline doesn't give her the last piece of Australium that she finds. Now, the basement, again, it's from the comics. It's just referencing the New Zealand, where Sniper's parents are, biological parents are. I really wanted to use this like underwater wallpaper, so I ended up going with the New Zealand scene. So there's the golden rocket that Sniper's mother takes up to space. Here is the little drink that is offered to Miss Pauling when she finds out what Sniper's dad did to the Australian stash that he had, which all ended up being blown up because of his failed projects. But yeah, quite a simple room, nothing too special about it. I think the underwater wallpaper is probably the best part about the room, to be honest. So that's the administrator's house. And now that we've been there, let's actually go towards the expiration date build. So we can actually come through here and we can actually see the truck continuing on here. So this is where Miss Pauling comes after Scout hits the briefcase alarm, and Petrie is not home, unfortunately. So I will go ahead and show her interior here. So Petrie's interior is based off of the scene where Miss Pauling comes to check on the briefcase, and it, Scout sets up this entire portion where it kind of looks like a prom, and she's like, "Are you having a prom?" So that's basically what this is referencing. So yeah, again, it's like quite simple, but I do think I tried to make it as accurate to the scene as possible, so hopefully it's quite obvious of what that is referencing. Now if we come here over to the next house, this is Red's house, and I do have a little gift for you here. It's an interactive gift, so you're welcome to pick that up before we go inside. So when we come inside, we go straight into the garage scene, which I really like this. It is a lot of fun. Here is the broken down truck that Scout and Soldier and Heavy come out from. here is the teleporter that the Demoman takes to get more beer, and here is where medic and engineer are finding out that there's something going on with the teleporter and the bread, and they are quite concerned about the little tumors that are popping up. Now, this item here, this item right here, this is the tabletop record player. I thought you could play music on it. Apparently you can't, which was really annoying because a lot of the interiors I was working around with this as the music piece. So then I ended up having to find an alternative for a lot of them. So yeah, I ended up just sticking that speaker right there for the music in this room, which was quite annoying because this was supposed to make the music. But yeah, just a minor inconvenience, I guess. Anyway, so usually I'd start with the bottom rooms over here, but the next scene is actually upstairs, so we'll actually go there first. So upstairs, it brings us to the iconic "this is a bucket" scene. And I had a lot of fun with this build. This was like, I don't know, like it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed making this build a lot. Of course, I had to recreate the "this is the bucket" scene. Of course I did. So here is the bucket. And I really like how this room turned out. You know, I tried to add as many details as I could that was in the actual scene. And so you can, you know, sit over here, listen to Spy, you know, talk about how we are not most men. And then there is Soldier doing his shady teleporting stuff for 3 days. I didn't know where he actually teleported bread from, so I just added that Easter egg in this room. And then I also really wanted to include this little portion. This is Heavy's minigun on a little crib, and this is just referencing that one comic where it's revealed that Heavy has a separate bed for his minigun, and it was so funny. And the fact that this chainsaw looked like the minigun and it could sit on the crib, like I had to include this somewhere, and I didn't know where, so I just ended up plopping it here. And I think it's just a really funny little Easter egg that's in this room. It's actually probably my favorite part about this room, if I'm being honest. But yeah, anyway, you can come here, synchronize your death watches with everyone else, and yeah, we can proceed. Now, the next scene from the Expiration Date short does go towards Spy's smoking room. So this is what I've come up with, and again, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I do think I captured the ambience quite well of that scene. The sampler originally was again supposed to be that tabletop record player, but again it didn't make any music. Like, you can't put music in it for some reason, so I ended up switching it out to the sampler because I think it looks more accurate there with the mic. And then I ended up using the phonograph for Spy instead, because I feel like Spy would be a character to own one of these, and it just fit the aesthetics of his room really well. Now, the left room comes to the Seduce Me scene. This was, again, a lot of fun to make. I had to include this scene. It's, again, quite simple, but I also just really wanted to use the gym equipment. And it just, you know, I saw the items and I saw the scene and they just matched so well. So I ended up making this scene. I wanted to make a lot of the scenes of Spy training Scout on how to take girls out on a date. I could have used a lot of them, but you know, I only have so many rooms, so I had to be quite picky with it. But this was the one that I went with because it is quite iconic. I mean, all of the scenes are. I had to be choosy. I ended up going with this one because I wanted to use the gym flooring and all the gym equipment. But yeah, there is a crash test dummy that he uses to teach Scout how to dance. And there is Scout's bucket of chicken, which is just caramel popcorn. Because they do not have food items that are made out of actual meat. Because I guess in the Animal Crossing world, that would be quite horrific. Finally, not finally, what am I saying? In the right room. So this is Medic's lab. I really wanted to recreate this room from the scene. There's not a lot that they show in Medic's lab in the Expiration Date short, but what they did show is quite a lot. So I'm actually quite happy with all of the little details that I was able to add here. Originally, this room was actually supposed to reference the boxing ring scene where Scout and Spy are, you know, having their final test, and Spy is like, what do you do if you have a dinner date at 7? And all that. I'm showing it here on the screen. You know, it's quite simple and there's not really a lot to it. So I just thought revamping it into Medic's Lab would make it a lot more interesting. And I'm quite happy with that choice because I love how this build turned out. This interior turned out. And I also got to use this little item, the barrel eye, here because Medic uses a similar case to hold the little bread monster. And I really wanted to use this item somewhere in this house. And for the final scene, we come to the bread monster scene. This one was a lot of fun. I ended up using the cave item for the actual bread monster because otherwise I think I would have had to use like custom designs and I did not have enough slots for that. So this is what I ended up coming up with. I mean, hopefully you can tell that it's the bread monster. That's kind of what I was going for here. It was the best I could probably do. But here's Archimedes just sitting in the bread monster's mouth, safe and sound, so Scout and Miss Pauline could jump in there. And then this is the bomb that Miss Pauline was creating. So yeah, again, quite simple, not too fancy, but hopefully it does come across as the actual bread monster. I tried my best. Like, this was the best I could do. So that's the expiration date portion of the island. I'm really happy with a lot of the scenes I was able to reference. There were a lot I could have referenced. Unfortunately, I had to be choosy about which ones. But yeah, that's I'm still quite happy with how that turned out. Now, we can come through here, and this actually does bring us to the very first build that I've done on this island, which is this museum build. So this is referencing the comic Doommates, where Merasmus comes back from WizardCon, which this is what that's referencing, and finds out that Soldier turned his castle into a raccoon sanctuary. So again, I did use this custom design here. I don't know who the creator is. If I do ever find it, I will credit them. All the other raccoons, I do have the codes for it, so I'll list that down below in the description. But yeah, this build, it's quite fuller than the original that I did because I did add quite a bit more detail to reference the short. So I added like the gas can, the Abominomicon being chewed up by the raccoons. I finally switched out the washing machine, and then there's Soldier and the refrigerator he was trying to bury. I did not mean to do that. So yeah, you know, all the details from Doommates I tried to add here, and I do enjoy how it turned out. Like, the castle is generic, but all of the details make it quite fun. And then if you come down here, it just goes back to residential services. So yeah, that's just another way to go back to the residential services. Now, we'll come up here because this is the Merasmus build. It does take us to NG's workshop, so I tried to... It's not really referencing anything specific. I just put a lot of little like knickknacks here that would make sense for engineer. So, you know, the toolbox, I have a crafting bench here that, you know, even has a wrench there that kind of looks like the one that NG uses. And then, you know, a lot of electrical things, the blueprint, and then a robot arm. So yeah, just little knickknacks that would reference what the engineer might have in his place. And it looks like Graham is home, so let's go check out his house. And of course, he's cooking, so he kind of ruins it. But, I mean, I'm sure you get the gist of it. This is supposed to be referencing the short, Meet the Engineer. This is where he's sitting, you know, playing his guitar, having his sentry guns shoot at everything that moves. Unfortunately, he's actually taken down one of the guns by... I did not mean to do that either. One of the guns by cooking. Why are you cooking, Graham? You're ruining your house. I tried to make it in the dream address. None of the villagers should be cooking or crafting, hopefully. But yeah, in the tour, of course, they have to be crafting. Of course they do. Anyway, this is Graham's interior. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. And yeah, it's quite a tight space, but I tried to fit as much detail as I could. And before we go into this teleporter, because there is a secret pipe right there, I want to just show the rest of Graham's yard. So here we just have, you know, a fun little campfire spot. This is where engineer can, you know, play his guitar. and then the mercenaries can have a barbecue. This particular item I really wanted to use somewhere, just because they do have a really similar item displayed in the TF2 menu, and when I saw this I was like, I need to use that somewhere. I ended up plopping it here. I don't know, it was the best spot I could really put it. But that's NG's yard. So let's actually go check out this secret teleporter before we go down to the next section. So this teleporter, actually, it sends us straight to my secret beach. This is what I've turned it into. So there's a little Pyro shark reference right there. And then, and a little turtling NG here. And then there's a whole, a crab rave here, which I had a lot of fun adding. And I actually do have Spy's outfit here. So I just thought it was really fun, a fun way to reference the spy crab. So it's invited for crabs only. So every single crab in Animal Crossing has been represented here. I caught all of them. I did not use a treasure island for any of them, so I'm actually quite proud of that. So here are the crabs, just a little crab rave that I have, and you can come here, become the spy crab. I've actually provided the outfits here in case you didn't pick spy to be your class, and you can turn into the spy for just this one section. Now if you come here, there is also a little cave area where Miss Pauling is quite busy with her job, burying bodies, so the mercenaries do not go to jail. So I just thought it was like a fun little spot to put this little reference here. So let's leave her to it and go back. Alright, I'm the administrator again. Perfect. So if we walk down here, now this entire area is referencing Scream Fortress 2. This is also where Merasmus' house is, right there. So this particular part down here is just referencing the Payload Race game mode for Halloween, where at the end you have to cut open one of their gravestones. For some reason that sends them to hell, I guess. I don't really know how that works. And then of course the beach is just a bunch of graves. It's supposed to be a graveyard because, you know, Scream Fortress 2, their maps do have graveyards, and I didn't really know what to do with this part of the beaches. So you're welcome to come here. I mean, it's just graves. Yeah, there's nothing much too interesting there. Of course, there are also the annoying skeletons. I can't, oh, I forget they did that. I can't make them glow green, but yeah, here they are. They also make TF2 lag, and they make this game lag, so I mean, at least they're filling that role. Now, this particular build, it was inspired by a custom design build thing that I found when I first started playing this game. I think it kind of went viral when it first came out as well. It was considered like one of the best designs or whatever, I believe. I don't remember, but it was very heavily inspired by, I'll actually put it up on the screen, by this creator and this specific build by this creator. I just made a Merasmus version of it. It was a pain to get everything lined up, but it was really worth it. Like, I really enjoy how this turned out, and I'm really happy with it. This is also just referencing the Carnival of Carnage map, so that's why it's kind of rounded here and all that. Like, that's what this part is referencing. And yeah, so let's go into Merasmus' house, because his house also references that map quite a bit. Now, to start off, hopefully this was kind of unexpected. Like, I wanted this to be one of those moments where it's like, why does it look so normal? Like, this is not what you'd expect considering what the exterior looked like. But this is referencing the comics where Merasmus is rooming with Tom Jones, and Soldier invades and breaks Tom Jones's neck, and Merasmus gets blamed for it. So that's what that's referencing. I thought it was just a funny scene, and I didn't really know what to do with this main area, so that's what I turned it into. And I do think it makes it quite a fun surprise when you go inside and it looks surprisingly normal, and then there's just a random dead body here. I just thought it was kind of funny. But the rest of his rooms are not normal, so we can go check it out. Also, this is here as well. This is not in the comics, but I wanted to reference one of the game modes from the Carnival of Carnage, which we will get to. But first, let's go back here. So back here we have the Abominomicon. This is specifically referencing how Demoman lost his eye. So there is a little duster here of when Demoman went to get a part-time job from Merasmus and he had to clean up the place. I love these effects, the smoking effects. I love the way it looks like dust in the dark like this, and that's what it is supposed to be. And then here is Abominomicon, and I also added a doom swirl effect on it because it's not a very safe book to open. Now this left room is referencing the horseless, headless horseman. I always have to slow down when I say it because it's a bit of a tongue twister. But this is referencing the horseless, headless horseman, which is one of the Halloween bosses. You can also kind of see the monoculus referenced right up here. Originally, I was going to use this spooky scarecrow to be the horseman, but then I remembered that Jack existed, and when you put his head and the rope there, it makes him look taller too, which the horseman is quite big. So I thought that was a lot more appropriate than the spooky scarecrow. So that's what that's referencing. I was gonna add like the creepy music here, but I think this place is actually creepier without the music. So yeah, I'm just gonna let the creepy ambience carry it here. Now, the last three rooms all reference the different mini games in Carnival of Carnage that you can get. So these are the Merasmus mini games that are in the game. So this one is specifically referencing the falling platforms. I thought it was quite fun. So we have the little clacker carts to represent the carts in the game, and then these are the carpetings that actually fit so perfectly, and they look just like the actual platforms in the game. So that's what this is referencing. So when a platform is about to fall, you have to go to a safe one, and then if you fall down, you turn into a ghost, and then you have to touch a teammate to come back to life. But yeah, this is what that's referencing. Now upstairs, this one is referencing the soccer game mode, so you can it's quite similar. I always think of Rocket League when I see it, but it's the game mode where you're still you know using the carts, and then you have to try to kick the ball or push the ball into the goal, which is like a monster's mouth. I ended up using the soccer goals, which made the room look a lot more cramped, but as long as you understand which game mode it is, I guess I'm fine with that. Now this basement, this one is out of the three rooms, it's my absolute favorite. It's, I think, a lot of fun because this one, I tried to make it look like it's in the middle of the game. Just because I couldn't make it, you know, the entire track, so I had to settle for just trying to make it for one part of the track. I don't know if that makes sense. But basically, this is the one where you have to collect all the little duckies, and you get points for that, and then Merasmus can give you bonus ducks and all that. I also got to use a galaxy flooring in this one. I kind of wanted like a darker flooring, but I think the galaxy flooring makes it look like the void, so I do enjoy that. This room was like a lot of fun to make. Here is like the team, they're like bumping into each other. Yeah, this one's a lot of fun, like it's in the middle of the game, and they're the ghosts that are coming up trying to touch their teammates so that they can, you know, play it again. Yeah, I do enjoy it, and I also really like the reverb of the music in this one because I added one of the atmosphere effects as well. So this room is, I don't know, it's just all around a lot of fun, and I enjoy how the ducks look, how the cart looks like it's about to fall off the map, or like they're bumping into each other. I like how this one looks like a freeze frame of a game that's in progress. So that's Merasmus's house. Now, we'll continue on. This is, again, it's still part of Scream Fortress. So this is referencing a different game mode. So this is after one of the red or blue team wins for the payload race. You get sent into this map where you have to catch the Abominomicon for some reason. So there up there is where the advantage team goes, and then the one with the disadvantage. So the losing team goes here because they have the disadvantage. So you can start wherever you want, but you know, you still end up in the same destination. these green stuff, it's supposed to reference the buttons that are pushed in the game mode, and when you push the button, a hammer falls down. At first there was nothing here, but then I remembered these guys existed, and they work very well as like the hammer that would fall down and squish you in this game mode. So that's that was a fun element to add. So here's another button, and you have to, like, you know, race the other players and try to get here without dying. And then once you get here, you need to wait for the fence to come down, and then you have to go and touch the Abominomicon before the other team does, and that wins you the game. Anyway, once that's done, you can just come down here, and it actually brings us to Man versus Machine. I really enjoy how this part turned out. So there's the ticket that you need to play the game, and then here is the canteen that you'd also need to get your upgrades. There is the Australium and the main chase of MBM, which is the golden frying pan. So I just have the frying pan there with the gold nugget there just to kind of reference that, because there is no golden frying pan in Animal Crossing. So that was the best reference I could do there. Now, this particular build, so here are the little robots, or the big robots, I guess, that you have to fight. This item here turned around, it looks like the tank in the game. And then here is the money that you can collect. If you're Scout, you can get your health back as well, so that's really nice. And then here is NG Setup. This particular build is loosely based off of one of the NVM maps, which I do not remember the name of, so I will plop that right here in the corner somewhere. And this is loosely what this is based off of, because that was the map that I played on the most in NVM. And then here is Sniper's Rifle as well, because this is quite a common spot to go if you're playing Sniper. And then if you come here, this is where the robots are trying to take the bomb to, and Sahara is just standing on the teleporter, okay? And then here is the upgrade station. So you can come here, get your upgrades for the next wave. And I also really enjoyed this part because it is functional. So I have the crafting bench on this side, I have the storage shed right there, and then on the other side, which is again another upgrade station, I do have the cooking kitchen thing here, so I can cook and make something. And I used these quite a bit when I was making other parts of my island, so they were quite convenient to have. So I like that they are functional and also part of the build. That's always a plus. And then this is just the outer part. It's like the other entrance to the MVM part, and it loops back towards Merasmus's castle, so we don't need to go there. But yeah, I'm really quite happy with how this turned out, and I also really like that it's functional. Anyway, once you complete the MVM, your ticket is consumed here, and then you can get a bunch of prizes from each tour that you complete. And some lucky winner got something special right here, so you can open it up and see what that is. Now, once we come here from MVM, we actually come to meet the medic, which here is the nice build. Like, I love how this turned out. I enjoy, like, I use simple panels for those windows, and that's a really simple design, but it does a lot to create the illusion of windows, so I really do enjoy that. And of course, Doc is not home, so I'm gonna have to use a separate video of that right here. So this is what Doc's house looks like. You know, again, I made it as similar as I could to the actual Meet the Medic short. So there in the middle is the little gurney, or the table that Heavy is laying down on while Medic operates on him. I didn't know really what would work as the actual Medigun, so I ended up just using the ring light. So there's that, and then of course I had to put the bird cage for Archimedes, and I made a little nod to this little spy head on top of the refrigerator, which is quite funny, where he says kill me. And then the skeleton that Medic also steals before he loses his license is just right up there above the medicine cabinet. So I thought that was just a lot of fun to add. And yeah, so now that we're outside, so this is the entrance that Medic would make when he comes out of his house. I just thought it was a lot of fun to add the bird cages to reference the birds that fly behind him when he comes outside. And then I do have 2 gifts, so depending on which team that you're in, you can pick your corresponding one. And then once you're the medic, you can, you know, walk up here, pretend that you are in Meet the Medic, which is a lot of fun. And you can come up this ramp, and unfortunately the cave item disappears when you just do this, so you do need your camera. But this is specifically referencing the pile of soldiers that medic and heavy climb on top of in the short, and you can, I guess, this specifically and have, you know, a little photo shoot, just a lot of fun. So yeah, it's just what that's referencing for the Meet the Medic short, and it's quite a large part too. But I think it's appropriate because Meet the Medic is the longest out of all of them anyway. But anyway, there's a little like section here. You can come loop back towards residential services, and we can actually go, I'm gonna go this way first before we go anywhere else, because here is where Mann Co is, and this is where Saxton Hale lives. Of course, I unfortunately couldn't make it any taller. This was the best I could do. I played around a lot with Saxton's house, but it was best to put it up there because otherwise he would cover the sign and you wouldn't even be able to see it, unfortunately. So it became wider than taller, but it does look like the Mann Co building, so, you know, that's enough. Anyway, let's go inside Saxton's house and see what's in there. So here's the main room for Saxton Hale's house. I honestly had no idea what to do with it, so I ended up just kind of make it look like it's gonna connect to his office. I did add a couple of references here and there, so here are the trophies, here are, I don't know, he probably has like prizes and stuff. This particular section is a memorial for Poopy Joe, and that room is dedicated to Poopy Joe as well, so we'll check that out in a second. But this was originally supposed to be in the administrator's house, but I believe Poopy Joe is actually associated with Mann Co, so that's why I put it here, because I think Mann Co got blamed for his death. So I thought it just made more sense to put it in Saxton's house instead of the administrator. But let's go check out back here, because this is where Saxton's office is. And here we have, this is a lot of fun to recreate. So this is Saxton's office. Again, I tried to make it as accurate to the comics as possible. So we have the trophies on either side. We have little Olivia here, who becomes the next CEO, and then all of the robots here that refuse to fight Saxton Hale when he leaves and gets fired as CEO. And then, of course, his desk back there, I just used sturdy office desk, but hopefully it kind of looks like a grill because I put the cooking stuff on there. But yeah, that's, again, pretty simple, but I do enjoy how this turned out. And of course, I had to add all of the posters here to kind of make it look like the comics. And yeah, it's quite claustrophobic because of these armor pieces, but you know what, if the actual Mann Co robots were surrounding you like that, I mean, I would feel claustrophobic anyway. So now this left room here, it's a really simple build. It's just one stack of golden bars, Gray Man, a suit to represent Gray Man, and a little sparkler to represent the cigarette that he finds when he comes here to the vault to look for the Australium that's supposed to be stashed in here. I really wanted to make this scene, again, it's quite simple and, you know, empty, but that is the point of the scene anyway. When I created the Saxton character, this was one of the first scenes that I really wanted to reference in his house, so I had to include this here. Now, in the right room, there is something suspicious going on. So this is supposed to be a whole reference to Poopy Joe. So this back room, I guess, would be kind of like a memorial wall, I guess. I mean, if you could call it that. So it's just referencing all of the items that were in the rocket with Poopy Joe before it blew up. And then beside the rocket, the malfunctioned rocket, is the Australium that the administrator stole, which caused the rocket to, you know, explode or fail and kill Poopy Joe. And then this particular section down here, the summoning circle, it's referencing this specific section in, I believe it's a Banana Bay map. For some reason, it references Poopy Joe in a summoning circle, and I kind of wanted to recreate that in this room because Animal Crossing has this flooring and wallpaper, and I really wanted to use them. Now upstairs, this one, it's not exactly related to Saxton, but I really wanted to make this scene just because of this hot dog outfit over there. When I saw it, I thought of this particular scene and I knew I had to make this reference somewhere. So this is just referencing the comics again. It's a part where Pyro, Soldier, and Scout are off to look for Heavy, and they come to, you know, Russia, and it's snowy, and then they run into a bunch of bears next to a crashed airplane and they have to fight them. So there is Scout wearing that costume that had the bones of Amelia Earhart for some reason, and a bear that's going after him. So he has the bone over there that he kills the bear with, and then there's Soldier covered in honey to kill this bear. And then there is Pyro, who uses an axe, and that's why there's a red mat under that bear, because Pyro's bear gets the bloodiest death. And then there is Heavy to fight Mama Bear when she comes, all angry because they killed her babies. And down here, it's just a jungle. I mean, it's Saxton Hale, so I had to make something jungle related. It's nothing too special. It's literally just the wallpaper and the flooring that carries this interior. It's literally just the jungle. Again, nothing too special about it, but I do enjoy this little thing that I did, covering up with the wheat fields to make it look like it's just a wolf. That was fun, but other than that, there's nothing too special about this room. And that was Mann Co. So now that we're done with that, let's actually go down towards Nook's Cranny. So I actually had no idea what to do with Nook's Cranny, so I ended up just making it into a shop that is supplied by Mann Co. Oh, and this umbrella custom design, of course, I wanted to use it here. It is uploaded in my custom portal as well, so you're welcome to use it. But yeah, Nook's Cranny just ended up becoming a little shop that is supplied by Mann Co. So here's the truck and a little warehouse here as well, which I had quite a bit of fun putting a little perspective thing where it looks like there's actually stuff stored in there. And then in this little tight spot, I added this umbrella here. This is just a subtle reference to the civilian, who is the alleged 10th class of TF2. I really wanted to reference him somewhere, and I didn't know where, and then I ended up just plopping it here, and I think it works quite well. And here's Petrie, which is fitting because she's Miss Pauline, and this is the scene where Miss Pauline comes to the library and she burns all the records of the administrator. And then here is Pyro burning the books and making sure that the next, I believe, 6 years of school is cancelled. And then if we come up here, it actually brings us to the Demoman build. So this up here is just a subtle thing to reference Degroot Keep, which is not Demoman specific map, but I believe the entire thing is like based on Demoman lore, because I think Demoman's name is Tavish Degroot, so it's Degroot Keep. And that's what that's referencing. And there is, of course, the Islander right there. And then here is an old meme that I really did want to reference. And yes, the Demopan is referenced in this house. Unfortunately, Rasher is not home, so again, I will have to do a separate video and slap it on top of here. So if we're going over it, again, this is just referencing the Meet the Demoman short, and then little bits and pieces that also reference the in-game items and Demoman meme. There in the corner, you can see the Demopan reference. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, a lot of detail. I wanted to also add his sticky bomb launcher and the star fragment to represent the actual sticky bomb. But yeah, I enjoy how this one worked out. Also the music for it, I ended up using the, I forget what the title is. I don't know what the title is for it, but I know it's Irish, but it was the only one that had bagpipes in it. Which is why I ended up using it. And besides, it kind of gives off like pirate vibes, and Demo is also quite like piratey in TF2 for some reason. So, I mean, we'll have to compromise, I guess. That's what I settled on. But yeah, so that's it for Demoman. And then if we come here actually for the exterior, you can also see the scene where he takes down the blue sentry. This is also from the Meet the Demoman short. And yeah, that was pretty fun. And then if we come here, this is in the beach, and you are not sitting on the correct spot, Eugene. But anyway, this is supposed to be a lounge area, a beach lounge area for all of the classes. And yeah, I mean, I guess you can have a go at guessing who goes where before I reveal it. But all of these are referencing actual taunts in TF2. A lot of them are like looping taunts. Soldier for some reason doesn't have one yet, so I ended up just using the trash can to represent one of the taunts that it's a newer taunt, but he's also kind of known for like going, I swear to God, there is something about Soldier going into the garbage bin, so that's why I use this here. And Phoebe, that is not your seat, but I mean, that's okay. They're all here for some reason. I don't know why everyone is here. Because Rasher's here thinking you are not moving out. But yeah, this is one of my favorite spots. So I will go ahead and put up the actual taunt that each of these are referencing. So this is for Pyro. This one is for Heavy. There's Soldier. There's Scout, Demoman, Engineer. Here's Medic, Spy, and of course Sniper. And then I'm not gonna go up there because it's actually inaccessible past that point. I just put it there because you can see it. And that's it. That's just the beach lounge for all the classes. And then if we come up here, we actually come up to the sniper build. So this is, I ended up making his house into a little truck because he lives in a van. So I really wanted to make a sniper van for him. Again, it's just a house, so I mean, this was the best I could do, but hopefully it does look like the sniper van that I am referencing. Anyway, there's also like a little gift here that you can pick up. And of course, Eugene is not home, so I will again put a video here of what his interior looks like. So his interior, I tried to make it look like the inside of a van, but I also added that back part with the little vanity to reference the one scene where he's brushing his teeth. And he's talking about, you know, it zooms into a picture of the Heavy. So there's Teddy's picture right there as well. But for the most part, I tried to make it look like the inside of an actual van, which is why there's like a kitchen there with coffee. Hopefully, I mean, it's quite simple, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about it, but it did grow on me quite a bit. And I do enjoy how it looks, and I do think that it does kind of work. It does kind of look like the inside of the van, and as long as it does like that, I'm fine with that. And now we're outside again. So this part, this is again, it's still part of the sniper build. So this is referencing the sniper lookout because he like climbs up a lot of towers in the short as well. And then there's just yellow barrels down there just because Demoman, when he gets startled, he ends up falling into a bunch of yellow barrels and blows up in the short. So that's kind of what that is referencing. And there is his Girardi and the #1 sniper, which it does say that, and again, that is in my portal, so again, you're welcome to use that for yourself. So I believe that's all the villager no, it's not. What am I saying? We still have 2 more left. This is a very long tour. I'm very sorry. Anyway, this brings us to blue section. Now, this entire part of the map, it actually references the gameplay aspects of TF2. So as you can see in the exterior, you can see that it's an ongoing payload game, which I'm actually really happy with how this part turned out. Like, I love this part. I love this build, actually. I love how the custom stuff turned out. And I do think that this quote sleeping pod looks a lot like the actual bomb in the game. I kind of wish you could close it, but unfortunately you can't for some reason. But yeah, we'll get more into that. Firstly, I want to explore Blue's house, and let me tell you, this is my absolute favorite house, and I will show you why. And this is why. Because right from the main room, it just references a lot of the gameplay aspects of TF2, and I had so much fun with this. So all 9 classes are represented here, and they all have their own little roles. So there is Sniper, who actually got milked by the Scout. Hopefully it comes across as that, because I put a little milk right behind Scout here. Here's Scout, of course, he's yelling for medic while he's right next to the med kit. And then Heavy and Soldier as well, they're yelling for medic. Heavy with his minigun here, Soldier is blowing his conch. And then here's medic trying to give as much heals as he can. And then over here we have Spy, who's cloaking and he's about to backstab the Sniper, who was again milked. And then here is the Pyro chasing after the Spy because he sapped Engineer Sentry. And I love this effect here. Now, this record player here, when I saw it, I knew I had to use it for a build similar to this to make it look like it was sapping a sentry. And I love how it turned out. It looks a lot like the red tape recorder, in TF2, so I knew I had to use it as a sapper. And I absolutely love how it turned out because it actually looks like it's sapping the sentry, especially with that like electricity polishing effect that I use. So I really enjoy that. So there's Engineer trying to take the sapper out. And then here is Demoman with his sticky bomb, and he just has red team surrounded. And one of these fragments is a different color because it's supposed to be a crit. So things are not really looking too well for the red team. But yeah, it says resupply back here, so I guess we'll go in there and find out what's in there. And of course it's the spawn room because it did say resupply. So I tried to make it quite accurate to the actual spawn rooms in TF2, but you know, there's so many styles in every spawn room. So I ended up just mostly basing it off of the 2-fort spawn room, mostly because 2-fort spawn rooms are really simple, and in a small space like this, it was like probably the best one I could choose. I did also have a look at like other ones as well, and this is what I ended up with. So there is the resupply cabinets, and I did not mean to do that. Can I turn it back on? Yes. And this heavy custom here, it's supposed to reference the A-posing heavy that you see a lot of memes about, which unfortunately when you put down a custom or like clothes, it defaults to A-posing. So I kind of tried to differentiate him with this gloom swirl effect. Also, it's kind of like a subtle nod to Cerber Blight, so I don't know, up to you how to interpret that gloom swirl effect over there. But yeah, I do enjoy this room a lot as well. Now this is the left room. It's not actually my favorite room. Out of this house, it's my least favorite room, just because there's not really a lot going for it. It just has a dispenser here and a control point. I didn't really know what to do for here without covering up the control point. And the whole point of this house is to reference a lot of the different game modes that are in TF2, so I had to include like a control point somewhere, and there wasn't really a lot I could do without removing it entirely. Also, like, I don't know, I did what I could. Like, I do think that it does look like it's from TF2, but other than that, like, there's not really a lot going for it. So again, it's not really my favorite. Now, we're going to start upstairs because I'm leaving my absolute favorite room for last, which is the right room. So we'll do upstairs, downstairs first. Now this room is referencing, of course, the Mann Co store. So this is where you get all of your cosmetics, and you know, it's roped off because all of the expensive items are beyond it. And yeah, so we got the Australian weapons over there. All of those golden tools I did get legitly. I did not use treasure islands for those. So I got all of the achievements to get all of them unlocked and sent to my character. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. And then there is the unusual war paint over there, and then there is the conscientious objective and the customization kit, which represents the decal tool, which I do think works really well because in both games you need the kit to customize the actual object. So the shop sign and the conscientious objector, you can customize both of them, and then the kit and the decal tool is needed to customize them. So I do think that works very well to represent that. And then of course we got the expensive hats over there. These stuff hanging on here, the hats and the shirts, they represent, I guess you could kind of say they represent like the case that these items are coming from, I guess you could say, kind of to represent like, yeah, the cases or crates that they would be, that you could find them in. But yeah, so there is the cinnamon roll hat, which represents Max's severed head, and then there is of course the, I'm not gonna say the actual word, but that is let's just say he's the Lime Scout hat. And then there is the pirate hat, and of course I had to use Animal Crossing's most expensive hat to also be represented in the expensive hat section of the room. And then there is that cone hat that is quite commonly used with spy mains, I find. Use that hat a lot. And then these items here represent the potential items that you can get when you unbox a crate. So you can get paint, or a Mann Co ticket, a tour ticket, a backpack expander, or a taunt unusualifier. And whoever unboxed these got lucky because they actually got the unusualifier here. And then of course on the right here we have the taunts represented. So there's the disco ball and the rocket. Hopefully you'll know what that is referencing if you play TF2. I actually have that item myself, so I really wanted to represent that here. And then of course, the Demoman taunt over there and the Scout skateboarding taunt as well has been represented here. So yeah, these are a mix of legit TF2 items and just Animal Crossing counterparts, I guess. But yeah, this room was a lot of fun. So yeah, let's go to the downstairs now. And downstairs we have the 2 Fort Intel room. So this room represents the Capture the Flag game mode. And I always find when I'm playing 2 Fort, there is always like an engineer who somehow sneaks by all of the opposite team, and they set up a sentry nest in Intel. And then it becomes a whole thing where they start inviting their other engineer friends to come and set up more sentries. And it becomes a thing where, in this case, it would be blue team who are trying to get rid of the sentry nest, the invasion in their Intel. And then there's always, you know, someone who grabs the intelligence and then they either do the Kazotsky kick taunt or they're trying to capture it depending on the server, I guess. But yeah, this is what I came up with. And I do really enjoy how it turned out. It actually looks quite accurate to the 2 Fort Intel room. So I'm really happy with that. Now for this teleporter, I really wanted to make it go in here because this is where the engineers always put their teleporters in 2 Fort. But there wasn't enough space, so I just ended up putting it in the corner over here. But yeah, I do enjoy how this turned out. This is a lot of fun. And then here is my absolute favorite room. I love this room so much. This is referencing, of course, the final panel of the TF2 7th comic that has all of the mercenaries in it. Now, all of the 9 classes are represented here, and I tried to match them with the actual outfits that they wear in the comic, and I also tried to make the room as close to the comic as possible. So there's the sandwiches and all that. I ended up using the cornucopia because, again, they don't have like actual meat items in Animal Crossing, and it was the best I could do. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to include the other characters that are in that scene, like Heavy's mom or Zana or any of the kids, but I really wanted to have at least the 9 classes represented here. So they were the top priority, and then I wasn't able to include any of the other characters, unfortunately. But I still adore this room. It's my absolute favorite room. Like, I can sit here for hours. Like, I love this room, and I think the music as well just fits so well with the vibe of this room. And it also has all of the villager pictures right there, which I got all of them legitly, except for Ace, because he was the last minute switch out for Scout. I did get Jay's picture legitly, but I just ended up switching him with Ace. So I got Ace's picture from a Treasure Island. Everyone else I got legitly by gifting them. But I do enjoy this room. This is my absolute favorite room out of the entire island. So that was Blue's house. Now, if we go, I mean, we can come and play the payload map, push the cart. These custom designs down here, I really enjoyed making them, and they were based around the floor lights. The moment I saw the floor lights, I knew they needed to work as capture points. I made the custom to match the width of the floor lights. That was intentional. But yeah, you can push the cart and go here, and you'll find a Demoman spawn camping red team here. Anyway, down there on the beach, you can also see that UFO. It's referencing the invasion update because there was a huge UFO there, and I just had to include that scene. I thought it was a lot of fun. And that little gyroid down there, like, it looks a lot like this specific cosmetic in TF2. It's also present in Phoebe's house, but it looks a lot like the little alien that gets stuck on Pyro's head. But yeah, so this is the campsite. It is accessible, so you can come down here to get a closer look at the alien. But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun to add that little Easter egg there. And then this is where you go to win the game. I added just a rocket here because a lot of the TF2 at the end of I mean, it is a bomb that they're pushing, so you know there's usually like explosions at the end of the map. So I kind of had the rocket here to reference that. And then this is Jacques' house, who represents a spy. Nothing too special going outside because his house is kind of, I guess you could say it's part of the payload map. But let's go inside and have a look. So, oh, and I like that he's reading too. So this is Jacques' house. So his house is obviously, it's referencing the Meet the Spy short, and yeah, so I have the little things here. So I did end up having to use resupply here instead of anything else because I didn't have custom design slots. But Red Spy in base, this one I really wanted to make this reference here. That's why those two are the only ones that are lit up. And then the rest of it is just the 2 Fort intel room that was revamped for the Meet the Spy short. So there's like these items here that are actually in the short that I tried to make as accurate as possible. And then there is the briefcase, of course. Well, I ended up using the little polishing effect to make it clear that it is the intel. So hopefully that's quite obvious what it is. I ended up just adding a crab here, just because to reference that. And of course there is his suit, and I added a little suit press here, or I forget what this is called, the pant? Yeah, I don't know, the little thingy for the suits. Because, yeah, Spy is definitely going to need one of those. Quite simple, again, Meet the Spy, represented in this room. Okay, so now if we come down here, we actually come to... oh, wrong button, wrong button, wrong button. We come to 2 Fort. 2 Fort, oh my god, this was so fun to build. You know, unfortunately, like, I didn't, like, record building this. I do wish that middle part, like, right there, could have been higher, but, you know, we only get up to the 3rd tier, I believe, in Animal Crossing, so I couldn't make it any higher than that. So this was the best I could do. This slanted section right here where my character is, that was such a pain to get. I had to use the Mario pipes to try to get that lined up properly to make it look like, you know, it's a one big roof that is going diagonally like that. So it's a perspective thing. But I really enjoy how this turned out, and I like that it actually looks like 2 Fort. Originally this is Teddy's house, by the way. Originally Teddy's house was in here. But I ended up integrating it into the build because, you know, I realized when I was making this that I had no plans for the actual villager homes. And I was like, why don't we just integrate them into builds like this? And so I ended up putting Teddy here. I thought Heavy made the most sense to put in 2 Fort anyway. So, yeah, that's what I did. And if you come over here, you can also see a little sniper Easter egg because there is always sniper on the battlements of 2 Fort. Of course, Teddy is not home, so I can't show you what his interior looks like, but his interior, of course, references the Meet the Heavy short, so the main focus of it is this middle part, and of course I had to put the heart polishing effect because he loves his gun. But yeah, I tried, again, like, I like that the Animal Crossing items allowed me to actually make a pretty accurate set for Meet the Heavy. And then, other than that, like, again, I just added little bits and pieces that reference Heavy's character and personality. There's a Matryoshka dolls to reference that he's Russian. I also added a little, like, formal paper wall-mounted item to kind of reference that he does have a PhD in literature. Just a subtle reference there. And yeah, just like little bits and pieces here and there, which is, you know, kind of fun to discover. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that is Heavy's house, or Teddy's house, and this part is inaccessible, so don't bother going there. And yeah, we have to go all the way back, and that marks the end of the tour. I believe that's everything in my island. Hopefully this tour isn't very long. I will try to cut as much fat as possible, but I really wanted to have like a full tour and going over all of the little details that I wanted to include in each build, like a breakdown. I might end up doing a no commentary tour, which might be a lot quicker than this one, because this one I just wanted to explain all of the references and stuff and my thought process in each build, because I didn't actually have a build video for a lot of these, which is why I really wanted to kind of go into a little bit of detail for that. But hopefully that was, you know, enjoyable to see all of the little references to TF2 that I had. I had a lot of fun making this island, and I did enjoy making most of the build. The only thing is like this road that goes through the middle, because if you have a look at my map, that long stretch of green where I'm at, that whole thing is the road. And I intentionally made it like that so that it lined up with the peninsula. But again, I made the peninsula into a tribute area, so it ended up like not being as I intended, and I ended up just using the castle gate items here to make it look like it's just a tunnel that the cars can go through right here. So then it made me question why even have a road going through here in the first place. But other than the road, like, I had no idea what to do with it, to be honest, which is why I'm just gonna leave it. So this is like the only part that I'm not too miffed about. Other than that, I'm quite happy with all the other stuff that I did end up making. Of course, there are like little parts here and there that I don't think it turned out that great, but yeah, that is my completed island, and I don't think I really will change anything. So if you do decide to tour, enjoy. I hope you have fun with all the references and all the gifts and meeting all of the player characters, because each of them do say TF2 related stuff. So have fun, and this is the end of my tour. So thanks for watching.